Interwebs. This is Gamer 1745 getting ready to start streaming Way 3. And I'm going to need to click over here and do this. Refresh. Yeah, that should be better. All right, good. Good. And we're playing Germany. Right. They're falling back to there. They're falling back to here. These guys are holding here. These guys may be able to hold here. Okay, well. Looking to see which is better to move. Let's see, let's move this guy here. Well, that's moving at 4.8. Yeah. That's going to move faster. Okay. See if we can get reinforcements to be able to hold there better. This is probably going to collapse. We have that moving as fast as it can, it looks like. Wish I had Bowers unit already there too to help hold here. Well, let's see what else do we need to do here. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. We could add a general there. Cavalry, you think, maybe? Yeah, okay. Well, that's probably a sucky thing to do to him. Seem, don't know. Well, we let him have this province. That means they could then get to this province, which means they can get to this and surround us off. So it would be better to hold here. That would be the better place to hold. And we're collapsing up here. And we're collapsing down here. Okay, well, let's help them with a bit of an attack there. Let's come over here. Oh, we got units that we can roll, and they're supposed to go back up to the north, so they can come to here. Core collapsed again, we'll move them to there. what was I looking for? Which was the air fighters, particularly. Okay. Put a proper resting. Proper resting. No. Good fighting, but you're not doing any use down there. Let's look at supply mode here. Find a place with some supplies that they could maybe move to. Already have too many units there. Here would be okay. We'll move to here. All right. The Luftwaffe in the east for sure is devastated. There we go, that would be useful. Right. All right. Well, there appears to be a few people out there, but nobody said hi yet. Hello, everyone. Okay. Let's make an episode. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, and yes, winter is coming, and we're hoping it will maybe be a good thing for us, but we will see how this goes. This is our battle in the east. We are retreating out to what is hopefully a better defensible line. So one thing I want to do here is we very well may lose. We may or may not lose Batumi, but I believe there's a huge amount of resources here. So what we're going to do, and I would prefer not to, you cannot have more than 99,999 of any of these three things. Anything more than that, my understanding, just disappears. Okay. Well, I think we have a huge amount more stocked here that hasn't been able to, because I have not been having a resource convoy coming out of there back to somewhere in Germany. We could do Odessa maybe. There we are. Okay, so we're going to run that there to just to Clear out. Supply or clear out the resources that have been stockpiled here so the Soviets won't get them. Deny that to the enemy. In essence, we're sort of burning their resources. Right. Okay. Worried about supply in here, though. Yeah, that is a concern. Right. We'll let this get going here. Boom, lots of stuff. Okay, they're attacking us here. The AI is checking us out here. 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 If we keep supply down here, I think we may be able to hold some of this. We've won here. Okay, right there we've won. And we're under attack here. Okay, just retreat. Retreat. Strategically redeploy. Yeah, we might as well send you, well, once you get back to there. Oh, and did I mention we're under serious problems here in Finland. Okay, at least we have pillboxes here, so we're going to retire to here. Hopefully get there before too long. Before it gets overrun. Good. And we may not be dug in so well, but at least we have some pillboxes. Now we have our fleet there. So yeah, let's put you on board. Put you on board. Put you on board. And put you on board. Oh shit. Well, we had a crash there. I think I saved it just before starting. I would be... This is not as stable as I would like. I'm going to leave this in so you see what happened. The battle for stability. Don't worry about some of this stuff. All right. Let's fall back, fall back. Let's get moving back. Let's get up to there. Right. Let's get you on board ship. Okay. Let's send you guys up to here. Right on the wrong. Isn't there a port here? I thought there was a port up here. Oh, it was buried under this stack. We couldn't see the Icon? Okay, I guess here. I know there's this thing up here, which we're gonna lose before we can get there, I think. So, well, I guess we'll come to this port here. You're in good shape again, so let's get you naval striking this area. Good enough shape. Because we want our ships to come up there with some air support. That's a considerable amount of air support. Hello, better my pickle. No, Finland is not looking good at the moment at all. We are losing in Finland. Not that we're not losing just about everywhere else on the Eastern Front, but hey, yeah, not looking too good. All right, let's get back to where we were again. Yeah, no, this is the mistakes were made playthrough here that some people are enjoying watching me lose the war. They're maybe rooting for me to make it come back, but still. Come on, we need a better organized unit here to sort of stave off complete loss. Alright, keep going back up to there. You retreat back to there. You keep coming up. Do you have extra divisions in Norway and Finland? No, I do not. Where I have the extra divisions, everyone may be curious, I have down here. We got not enough to like win the war, but well, if all this was up in Finland, we would be doing a whole lot better. If this was all out over here, where a bunch of this was meant to be, we would be doing a lot better. But they've been sitting over here waiting for torch landings to happen and being able to react to it. Because if we can't hold North Africa, it doesn't matter if we win or lose on the Eastern Front. Move this down here. And I'm going to put a general in charge of it. And they keep pushing out here, but we're just good enough. Holding on. Well, hello, Arno. How are you doing today? They're going to come over there and hopefully hold there. They're going to take that, but we're going to hold here. We don't want to fall back to there because that's just hills. That's still in the mountains. This is... what terrain is that? That is just hills, okay. How have you been, my friend? Very good, very good. We've won here, yes. Our subs off the Finnish coast with help of aircraft. We're still dealing with Soviet naval remnants up there. Good. These guys are falling back too. Good thing we have some reinforcements coming, but ooh, I don't know if it's going to be enough. How much better is much, much better. Much. There's a huge impact. Did they shatter the... or just force it to... Yep. Since there's nowhere for it to retreat, it died. That... we lost an armored division. Hubei's armored division. Just lost an armored division. Oh, that's right, we didn't. Create a supply convoy from... no, close. Create a resource convoy from Batumi to Odessa. We did that before. I forgot to redo it again after the crash. There we go. Withdraw all of the supplies we can from here before we are annihilated. And deny them to the Soviets. There. Come on, CO, get in there. Get into the port. Land. You don't have the supplies, you're moving at one. Oh god, I hate how this works. People ask me, well, asked recently, and you know, why am I playing Hearts of Iron 3 and not Hearts of Iron 4? Well, I think Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice is the best version of Hearts of Iron out there. But things like this also make it very painful. We have enough fuel, it's just not working well. And so we just lost this province with a shattered army. Because we didn't have enough fucking fuel. Rebase back to there. Okay, well. We did have enough fuel, but it was saying we didn't have enough fuel. Well, you can't get there from here. Can you get up to there? No. It's the infrastructure levels. Okay. Well, you should be able to get to there. Why can't you get up to there? Oh. Run away. That's why you couldn't get to there. Long-range submarine classes. Advance, all right. Twin-engine ground crew training advance. Let's take a quick look there. That's good. We'll continue that. And fighter pilot training. And then we'll continue that. Let's see, is there another one of these I want to do here? Don't know. Send that Jaeger division back to the Black Sea to Finland. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Well, we could do the sniper war. Okay, well, we got these guys here now. They could just sit on that port and maybe garrison it for future. Yeah. You head back to here. Okay, well, now that we've had some units retreat, let's send that back up to the front. We'll give them a few more days. They retreated faster to attempt to hold out. Yeah, well, I had, well, one, there's not a whole lot for them to do other places. But I had given them, well, I still have these up here, and I want to stop that because I don't want you using my supplies. Basically, and it was an experiment, we found that they just really are eating more supplies than they're worth. And yeah. So we're sending them home, or we're letting them go home by not having them have supplies. Major defeat. Where have we lost? Down here. Okay. Okay, well, let's deal with this. This is important. Yeah, they're having problems because of lack of supplies. Let's attack here. The reason we are attacking is because if we fall back from here, we're going to have to fall back several other places. We may have to do that. Well, no, let's just defend here. Let's see about moving that up to there and that up to there. Yeah, they're attacking up there. We lost that. Well, Finns aren't helping very much, and I don't really want to collapse my forces here. So we'll... Well, let's look at, is the Volga River a viable option for defending from Soviet counterattack? The Volga. You're thinking here? Yeah, well, but we're nowhere near the Volga. Are you thinking the Don? Well, we've been pushed back from the Don. So yeah, the Denisa, well, we're trying to hold a little bit along there. So the rivers are very useful for sure, but Is that a little bit more? Okay, all of you guys fall back to here. And you guys fall back to there. You guys fall back to there. How many ships from the Soviets have you sunk? I don't know. I'm not going to start digging things up and crash my system. Sorry, Arno. Oh, Kiev River. Not sure which one that is here. So Denisa here, if that's what you're talking about. Well, I'm having trouble holding anywhere. And it's mostly, quite honestly, supply related. These guys are just down here at zero organization because they don't have supplies. So this is heavily supply related. I'm going to hit save. Let's look at infrastructure some more here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, we're not building. Yeah, we're building there. Trying to draw sort of straight lines for some of this supply to come north around through here a little better. Let's move you to there and you to here. Let's get the supply will come through there. Yeah, we are not doing well. Let's move these up to the top. Okay, we've got a bunch of fighters ready to deploy. That is nice, but what we need to do is find an air base like here in which we can deploy them. Though it is full of Italians, maybe they'll go somewhere else. Giving them no objectives out here, so I don't know why. Yeah, they're stacking so much air power up here. Okay, he's a night fighter, I believe. Yeah, let me save this again. The more often you open up the generals tab, the more likely this becomes, or the more unstable it becomes. Well, I could do it if I did it right. I know that. Okay, yeah, he's a night fighter. Okay. Okay, we'll leave him in charge. Let's find fighter command so I won't completely lose them. I'll be in Berlin. There we are. Fighter command. Okay, we'll let these guys get organized up here. They should have enough supply, hopefully, to do that well. Let's look here. Supply. Yep. Okay. Lost Kharkov, though we've abandoned it. It's just the Italians lost it finally. You have a few fascists you could bring to the front if... Yeah, not really worth it. These guys here, they're not worth, in my opinion, bringing them to the front. I would rather keep, I mean, we may be overdoing some of this. Okay, here we have... Do we have any? No, nothing's useful here, just some support units. Just a big stack. We created a few divisions and got them to the front, but not enough supplies for them at the front. Okay, well. No, let's just start with building a few heavy armored battalions. We can attach somewhere. Okay, now where do we need supplies? We could use supplies there, so we will air supply there. We have some, these guys are flying up to there currently. They're not doing very well, but we really do need supplies out here. So, air supply. Yep, we had abandoned the Dons. Rostov on the Don some time ago. Okay, we lost the Army Corps, HQ. Hello, too many letters. How you doing today? Well, I'm just starting to build the heavy tank units. No. Yeah. No, I wasn't prepared for this invasion. I know it may sound like you're just making justifications for why you're not doing well. Well, I was playing this whole series. I had no intention of getting this far into it, just to sort of see what, relatively new version of Black Ice is, and I've continued it for multiple reasons. Okay, let's see, Fighter Control Advance. I think that is, yeah, 41. So yeah, I am, I think, less prepared than Germany was to do war with Russia. No heavies. These are just the heavies I put in today. These are it. Oh no, you're right. I did. Wow, Arno, I forgot. You're remembering better than I am. But they're just okay. They're here. This is just starting into production. Here, I mean, they've done a little bit here, but as we've moved up more infrastructure to keep supplies. Man, Arno, you're remembering this better than I am. Good for you. Getting these. Yeah, because we can see I've pretty much stabilized this front here, but we can see that this front is with supplies. So it isn't so much that my units are incapable of holding, it's just they're not getting enough supply. Now down here, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Okay, well. Let's send this division around to here. And let's just go to there. Let's send this division down to there. Now we have 2 divisions over here that'll hold. Yeah, okay. I just want to, I'm overly saving this just because I had the crash earlier, so I'm being super cautious. Okay. My understanding with here, naval air targeting, CAG duty efficiency would be up, yes. I have no CAGs, so I don't need that. I have no intentions of building CAGs. I'm, at least not in the near term. If somehow I was going to think of invading the US, after defeating the Soviet Union, I might start building carriers and CAGs. Okay, naval bomber targeting chance. Do I want to target enemy naval bombers more likely than other aircraft in that air battle? So and this is where is it? Here, bomber and fighter targeting focuses. It's just, I'm going to end this episode here, and I want to come back and make a special episode. Here. So yes, I want to thank you all who made it this far. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and remember, now that this episode is ending, to start it again, and then you can turn the audio off and minimize it so that it just gives the YouTube algorithm the idea that you're watching it again when you're not really. I understand that. So, but that would help this out and make the series go longer. So thank you very much, those that have made it this far and do that. Okay, I want to make a special episode here. Sometimes I don't get these up too soon, but I think it's worth the... Welcome, Hearts of Iron 3 fans. This is Gamer1745 with a quick tutorial here. Just playing live here, and was asked about why don't I could research naval air targeting, and also I wasn't asked, but could focus or could research either bomber targeting focus or fighter targeting focus. My understanding of what these are is, these are in somewhat balance here, are if there is a battle taking place in a hex. I don't know if we can find one, or not a hex, but in a province. It's in that province. If there is a, fighter, air on air attacks, and you have I can't see any right now, but you have a group of fighters go up, and if there's just one type of enemy aircraft, fighters, and the enemy just has bombers, well, your fighters will target the bombers because that's the only thing because it is dealing with one particular battle, not just what's up flying around everywhere, but just in the one particular battle over the one particular province. Now, if it's a mixed formation, that's where these technologies come in. So if you have, if you focus on fighter targeting focus, what your fighters will do is attack their fighters priority, and try to shoot down their fighters. Or if you do bomber targeting focus, they will try to shoot down. Let's use Riga, for example. Was there a battle over Riga? No, we have air up here, but we don't have a battle going on. Looking for a mid-air battle somewhere. But like here we have, well, these are just attacks on naval. Well, they're ground attacking. Let's make sure they ground attack there. And so if we had fighters, say, escorting these guys, or whatever. You attack here. Oh, too far away. Okay, well, we'll stop you from attacking, let you get reorganized. So if there's a mixed type, they will so if you want to go after just their bombers or primarily target their bombers, that's what they'll do. Or if you want to primarily target their fighters, or if you want to primarily target naval bombers. So if you're flying escorts over water, and there's oil anywhere theoretically, but where you're running into enemy naval bombers, targeting them over priority over fighters or land bombers. I don't have, I know this is a brief tutorial here, I don't have a good what's the best to do here, because it's not a particular battle. Is it better for your fighters, and I don't know, is it better for your fighters to go after their fighters, and then once they're all gone, whether in a particular battle or just generally speaking, they're all gone, they'll of course target the bombers? Or is it better to target the bombers first to shoot them down and make bombing costly? I don't have a good answer within this, depending on target what type of aircraft you want to fight. Yes, that's what you want to fight, and I don't have a good answer, so I normally ignore this because I don't have what is best to do here. Okay, I know that, like I say, this is a quick tutorial. I don't have like a formula of what is best to do to get this to be most victorious when there is a mixed formation. Obviously, again, if it's a single type they're going after, they will obviously fight that. Yeah, so that's so keep that in mind if you want to research these. Now, this would of course help your CAG duty efficiency, but so will just researching nav tactics and nav strike tactics. I normally don't do too many port attacks, port strikes, like Pearl Harbor. And here, yeah, you could do, some of these are efficiencies, as we can see here. Some of these are, I guess, against the various deficiencies going after. We could do more of these. I just don't do the air probably as well as I should. But but yeah, that's what you're looking at here. And so if you're new here, please subscribe. You can hit the like button. Ask what tutorial you might want to hear about. I sometimes forget, so poke me again on tutorials that I have not done but suggested. So see you next time for more Hearts of Iron. Okay, well, that's going to be a quick tutorial here. Let me just a second and we'll get back and I'll reposition. We'll make another episode here. What aircraft are your fighters using? Okay, well, this is mostly a, well, let's get this, make sure he's out at the biggest area of operation. This is mostly just for immersion and not specifically what this model is, but this is right now the BF-109 F4 model. But this is what, I mean, this is just sort of blueprint kind of thing here, but these are the things that affect, what's going on with the model. Wing fuselage aerodynamics, what year these are, all of that. And I don't know how well it corresponds to that particular aircraft. Unlike Hearts of Iron 4, you can actually have stuff better modeled onto the aircraft. I really like both games, Hearts of Iron 4 and Hearts of Iron 3. Each game does something better than the other. So it's really, this is still my favorite here of all of them, but there is, each one has its problems. So let's, welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough and painful lesson of how not to invade the Soviet Union here, as we're being pushed back, and we're accepting a certain amount of retiring from the front. But hey, if you don't really have time to watch all this episode now, what you could do is just turn off the audio and minimize the volume, or minimize the screen, not the volume, get rid of it. And so that way, we get a playback through. It'll help the viewing count and make things go better if you could do so. I greatly appreciate that. And if you've watched it all the way through, you can do that again as well. Okay, they're coming back. These guys might just hold off with that. And then there it was. There we go, start marching back to the front. You got a bit of organization. Winter is coming, snow begins to fall. We'll see how that affects our situation here. Defense and depth, very nice. I like defense and depth. I also like to know where we are with things. Which one? I'm always trying to learn what I'm doing. Does that sound weird? I don't know. Which? Either I'm looking for one that's progressed reasonably far across. Okay, well, is it? Guess it's one that's grayed out somewhere. And airborne assault tactics, that should be over here. Airborne. Oh, no, that'll be under here. Airborne assault tactics, there we go. Okay, we'll let that continue. And HMS Revenge is lost. Wow, okay. Somebody placed a Hungary. Yes, okay, you can have some freight aircraft. Tanks are made from steel. Our stockpiles are big enough as it is, so we don't need to do that. Take a quick look out here. I don't know where they lost it. I'm guessing in Asia. Okay, so Japan has not been able to push into Burma. They are advancing down here from the top slowly. Some of it was just a transport unit. And I guess they've recently made a naval landing here and are pushing back there. That's good. And they're messing around here, not very effectively. Okay, and it looks like about it for Japan. Just to give you a heads up. I looked it up in before it was adopted in 1941 with new 20mm cannons. Very good, cool. Yeah, I don't keep up on all the variations of the BF or ME 109, however you want to call it. Italy, what would Italy like? Energy, you can have as much energy as you want. Build something with it though, please. Okay. Garrison down here shattered. I don't think these guys will be able to make it. Okay, change in plans. You come here to here. You keep coming down. You keep coming to this way down to here, maybe. I think we'll hold there, I think. Surprising there's still some Romanians out there. Most of them are all streaming home. Now let's look at supply mode. We can send in supplies up to here. That would be useful. No, you retreat to here. You're retreating to there because you are being chased by these guys. Oh well, you may get something. But we want to send supplies into Kirkness. Hopefully we still have enough convoys. Create a supply convoy. Will come out of no, Wilhelmshaven and Kiel, and we'll come up to Kirkness. Almost time. Yes, we'll see how that goes, Arno. What Soviets have a Marine division in the Baltics? Did the Soviets have Marine divisions historically? Actually, I was meaning to watch. I think it was saw a video. I think it was I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it. Drachinafil. I think he does really good naval videos, and was asking the question in the title, and I would really like to know: did the Japanese have Marines, or just sailors armed with rifles or something equivalent like that. Naval infantry is sometimes it's called. Because we can appreciate on a small scale that the Royal Marines of Britain is a very good fighting unit that is set up for amphibious warfare. On a much larger scale, really only getting large really in World War II. It sort of got up to, they, I think, fielded one Marine division in World War I. They had other units around. But ever since World War II, it's only recently they've demobilized their 2 armored brigade or battalions for the United States Marines. I actually agree with them demobilizing or getting rid of the armored battalions for the Marines, because they don't need to be mechanized heavy ground forces. But I'm of the opinion that they should still keep a company or 2 of M1 Abrams and keep the cruise training and use United States Army, to sort of explain it. And I understand at least some of the elements of why they decided to totally get rid of them. One of the elements is training and support. You need a whole logistical element, a training school, and all of that type of stuff to properly support an arm of warfare, like surface-to-air missiles. And I'm not talking just like guys with shoulder-fire surface-to-air missiles. I'm talking like Patriot missile batteries and large-scale stuff. The United States Marine Corps should not have Patriot missile batteries. I don't think they do. Who knows? They might, but I don't think they do. They should rely upon either the naval, ships off sea for something like that, or if it's a big enough operation, deploy an Army Patriot missile battery. Meaning if the area is safe enough, because you don't deploy a Patriot missile battery into live fire zone where there's bullets flying back and forth very much, because weapons will get chewed up. They're sort of rear area weapons. If there's enough of a threat, if there's enough thing, just simply bring in U.S. Army to operate a Patriot missile battery. So that's, in sort of large-scale anti-air operations, for ground forces. So the Marines really don't need to do that, in my opinion. And so I understand why they decided to totally get rid of it, because they couldn't. The cost of supporting a company or 2 of tanks is probably in their minds was going to be too much. I would have kept them, but just did train with the Army, send the United States Marine Corps soldiers that are going to drive the tanks to the Army schools, do all of that type of thing to support them and keep them there, because their LCACs, they're sort of their air cushion landing craft, can only carry 1 per LCAC. It's not so much the weight; they could probably get away with 2 on the weight, but just dimensions they can't fit 2. Because I remember a Marine Corps buddy of mine who was a Marine Corps armored guy, drove M60s before the M1 Abrams were, I think, a thing, or definitely before the Marine Corps ever got any. You could put 3 M60s on them, but only 1 Abrams. But so you can still deploy them. They can still come across, on the initial beach landings, kind of thing. Air cushion, come storming ashore with some real tanks. Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. And tanks for the Marine Corps should not be used, and I'll use this term, like panzers in a, armored thrust that's moving along. That's not what the Marine Corps is for. It is, Marine landing infantry that's really good. Tanks there should be integrated as support units, not as, a main maneuver thrust kind of battlefield situation, but, show up on the beach with a bunch of other Marines, and there's just a couple of them there, or 4, like a tank platoon of 4 of them show up and give fire support to what the rest of the Marine Corps operation do. And that way that once they get their basic, training, how to drive a tank, how to shoot a tank, tactical elements. Then they go train a lot with their, other Marine Corps units, so they're integrated. So they both, they know how each other thinks and works and does things. And that's an important element with any sort of fighting. And, it would be good to have them. I know I'm digressing. Oh, and 1.5 months. Okay, I know. And so, yeah, now there was, and so, okay, so you can, naval infantry. Historically, naval infantry goes way back, easily to the 18th century. Now, and I'm going to discount anything like we talk about, the Greeks who used, galleys, various types of trimarines and bigger quadrimes or whatever, bigger rowing ships there. And most of those, the warships, were not rowed by slaves for the Greeks. I think the Romans did more slave rowing for their warships. All of those crews were warriors to whatever degree they were warriors, and were expected to fight as well as row the ships. They were expected to be motivated. So we're not going to talk about those because that's just out of scope. But from the 18th century on, there was naval infantry. Now, Britain had, and it's starting in more or less the 18th century, maybe slightly before, but certain units of the army started to more routinely be stationed on board ships. Eventually, that's where the Royal Marines comes from, and they're sort of specific designated units. They're sort of their own thing, and it does change over the years. Eventually, they become sort of a subdivision of the Navy, but at first they're Army units, and then they're sort of gray areas for some of the stuff, but for some units. And by the time we're getting into the 20th century, the Marines are, the United States Marine Corps goes way back as well into the 18th century. They are an elite landing force, is what we call them. But there's always been, within this time period, naval infantry. And basically, if we're looking at the 18th century, we're looking at just simply sailors deployed ashore, often as gunners. They would unload, the old, black powder tubes type, guns from ships, put them on shore, to maybe into a ground battery, larger wheels, to be towed operation on, land-based stuff, but often just simply the naval guns and naval carriages, either to bombard a fort, to help take it, or to defend a fort. But the guns not just need crews, but need support, because if the enemy attacks, and this way they can defend the guns, because sailors were trained how to load and shoot muskets because they did lots of boarding actions and whatnot, and defense against boarding actions. But they're not well drilled to do army maneuvers, to maneuver battalions around, like you would see in the 18th century in the Napoleonic Wars and whatnot. They weren't trained to do that, but they could go somewhere, load and shoot, and sort of kind of move as a group and sort of kind of do stuff, but would sort of suck as infantry. But they were better than nothing, and for defending a relatively immobile, well, the Volkssturm was more than that. I can talk about the Volkssturm in just a minute, but it was more than just teenagers and elderly citizens. That's for damn sure. But we'll get to that in a moment. It's another topic. So you wanted to keep your proper army battalions moving around under coordination and control, and you have a relatively immovable thing like the artillery, and so you just have a bunch of extra sailors there with guns to sort of shoot it, whether it's an enemy, ground force, not ground force, enemy infantry element coming up, or the more worrisome cavalry charge to capture the guns. You got a bunch of guys standing there to shoot muskets. Right. Well, most warships, up and through World War II at least, and I don't know if they're continuing, I don't think so much, but most warships up until through World War II had enough rifles on board the warship to give one rifle to every member of the crew. Not always the case, I'm sure, but that was the most common, or at least most people on board the crew. I don't know if it was always or common to be a one-for-one situation. And we can see the situation that happened up here in Narvik in World War II. And yes, I do sort of try to link these things together, in which there were several German warships, mostly I think destroyers here, but that were sunk, some in port, some out at sea, but there were a large number of German sailors that survived the sinking of the ships. Again, some of them were in the fjords or in port, and they were just bombed by aircraft and sent to the bottom, or which may just be a few feet down. It's the ship is still maybe more than the decks are still above the water or something maybe. Well, they land all this extra sailors, and they do their best, often from the ships, to give all the sailors rifles and bullets, because basic sailor training is one element is how to shoot the normal rifle of the day. For the Germans, it was the Mauser Karabiner 98K Hertz for short, because it's a short Mauser rifle. And so they had a bunch of those, so they issued them out. So they become naval infantry. Naval infantry is not normally very good infantry, because they don't spend their time learning infantry tactics. They just know the basics, If somebody's shooting at you, you get down. This is how you load and fire a gun, kind of thing. And it's not zero training, but it's not very good. It's not normal training. Right. Okay. The Soviets. I don't know how much their Marine or naval infantry units got training. We can see prior to the Soviets, things that are becoming the Soviets, you have the, I forget the battleship name. Was it? No, Potemkin was somewhere else. I forget. The battleship where the sailors come in and take. At that point, it was Petrograd, I think, the name had changed to, or whatever. From St. Petersburg to Petrograd during World War I, sparking off the October Revolution, sailors coming in with guns from, their ship to do it. So you have the situation where you don't need your ships so much, including some stuff in Leningrad during the siege. They had a few ships that were sort of partially complete or sort of stuck in port. Well, you don't need all the sailors to do all the stuff. Maybe you're keeping some on board to fire some of the big guns back at, counter battery siege fire type stuff. But you don't need all the sailors on board the ships. So you put them into the front lines. One of the things that really sparked the end of Germany in World War I was when the German High Command realized, we've had that one battle out at Jutland. It did sort of okay. Actually, it's normally said tactically the Germans win, strategically the British win, and that is because Germany does more damage to Britain than Britain does to Germany, but the German High Seas Fleet never sallies forth again. Well, I think it was they were sort of realizing, oh, we need more bodies on the Western Front. So we're going to take all you sailors that have been sitting in port all this war, except for the one really cool battle that you did. And we're going to take a bunch of you and put you down to go to fight. And the sailors go, no. So, yeah, that would be naval infantry. And you might give them some training. Like I say, I suspect for the Soviets, it was probably mostly just sailors. I suspect most of this stuff would be sailors giving arms because their navy becomes less and less useful on a big scale, so might as well give them rifles and send them to the front. There very well may be some units that would be good, naval or sea landing soldier types that are well trained for that. Truly well trained, not just get trained on the battlefield. Japan's case is, I think they are more Marines, although I want to watch the videos. I started this whole thing. That you have the split between the Army and the Navy. And I want to see some videos talking about an aircraft carrier, at least one, that the Japanese Army, not the Navy, the Japanese Army operated. And I know the Japanese Army operated some submarines. Now, these submarines may have had some torpedoes on them, but they weren't meant to go sink other ships. They were supply submarines, cheaply built, to run supplies to some of the garrisons on some of these islands that they had there. And the Army decided, well, we need to get supplies to our Army troops because the Navy isn't doing it, because the Navy can't, mostly, not an unwillingness and an inability. And so they built these cheap submarines. And they also had towed behind them that would go underwater, big sort of, underwater containers to tow more supplies with them. I don't know if those were just one-way tow and drop off or whatnot. So the Army were operating some naval units. They both had their own air forces, because it was more the Army Air Force for Japan and the Navy Air Force for Japan. The Navy needed troops because there were political divisions between the Army and the Navy, and there was almost a civil war at one point in Japan, not actually in Japan, before the start of World War II, between the Army and the Navy. And so the Japanese Navy wanted ground troops because it did not feel it could rely upon, if it decided to do a naval landing somewhere, that it could ask the Army, and the Army would say yes to it, to giving them ground units. So that's sort of my thing on Marines. Now, I'm a moron. Don't trust a word I say. I don't know. I don't think you're a moron. Naval infantry shooting it. Yeah, ships and muskets as well. Yeah, that's where it sort of comes out. In the early 18th century, they would put soldiers on board ships. Well, certain regiments in the British Army got in a bit more of a tradition of being broken up into smaller units, because instead of being as one regiment or battalion or whatever, or working together, to be broken up and placed on board a bunch of ships. And that is the start of the Royal Marines. Eventually, by the Napoleonic Wars, I don't know where this comes in, there are specifically more Royal Marine units, and they are distinctly different from the Army. I do not believe they're under the control of the Army, but they are under naval control, but they're sort of their own thing. They're sort of separate chain of command, but sort of under the Navy. But even until and definitely like during the American Revolutionary War, definitely during the Napoleonic War, there were Army units that were either temporarily, and I mean temporarily as in for a few months. I don't mean like for, a few hours, like evacuating, Boston or something when the British Army evacuates Boston or something, for just one voyage with soldiers acting as Marines. I mean specifically breaking up a unit. We need more, we're at war with the Americans and we have, I don't know, 2,000 Royal Marines for the whole British Navy, but we're, doubling or tripling or quadrupling the size of the Navy. We need more, effectively more Marines. Well, just take some of these battalions, the Army battalions, and 20 on this ship, 50 on this ship, 100 on this ship, whatever, depending on the size of the ship, and stick these Army soldiers, not permanently, but maybe permanently for the duration of the conflict, but not, they're not given over to the Royal Marines. They're still Army units, but are putting on mid to longish term sea service, and that was still going on in the Napoleonic wars, because the British Navy is getting big and they don't have enough proper Royal Marines. So when I talk about this stuff, and I don't know the exact cutoff dates and when all these different things transition, but yeah, and so they would shoot at each other. Leningrad? Well, no, I was talking before. I was talking when the Tsars still owned Russia, but they wanted to change the name from St. Petersburg, a German name, to Petrograd, a Russian name. And then after that, why did the Japanese Army and the Navy hate each other so much? Political differences. They were two very different institutions. For a while, Admiral Yamamoto was against going to war with America. For a while, he was trapped aboard a battleship. I mean, he could have gotten into some other ship, but he couldn't leave the ship because there were known or thought, I don't know quite the detail, but thought to be Army units stationed around the Navy base ready to arrest him for whatever reasons. So, yeah, and there was at one point in the 30s that some of the naval elements were getting ready to, naval aircraft elements getting ready to go bomb Japanese Army units based in and around Tokyo, because they're down in Yokohama down here. This is the major naval base, and the sort of Japanese, it was going to be sort of a naval coup against Army control of the government. So yeah, it gets pretty messy between them, and they are different. And I think it's an interesting question, Butter, but I think it goes back to the forming of the two different forces. They both come out of samurai type backgrounds, bushi / samurai, but they become institutionally different at their formations in the transition from the shogunate to true imperial government and modernization of Japan. And since neither of them are influencing government policy through the ballot box, like vote for this faction or vote for the other faction, the only way that they can compete is with arms. Now, they don't actually ever really come to fighting, but the Japanese Army kills the Japanese Prime Minister in, 1934 or 1935? The democratically elected Japanese Prime Minister is assassinated by a bunch of Army officers. Junior to mid-ranking Army officers, but with the tacit approval of some of the higher-ups. They sort of knew what was going on and didn't stop it, basically. And the Japanese Tojo, who comes from the military police, the Kempitai in Manchukuo, that was his sort of previous command, he eventually becomes Prime Minister of Japan and wants to attack America. as well as the British to get oil and the Dutch down to get oil in the Dutch East Indies. And the Navy's saying no, because we'll lose. And it's finally a bribe of steel, of a huge amount of steel that we'll give you to build ships, that finally gets, plus other pressures, finally gets the Navy, because really you can't go to war with America without the Navy, because the Army can't get there. The Army can't get to Singapore without the Navy. It just doesn't have the ability to go to Singapore. They're hanging out in Dutch, in Indochina. They could try to come this way, but this is still a lot of jungle down here. There's really no roads. This is a bit overdone for the amount of units moving around here. You just die through here back then. So you really can't get down into the oil without the Navy. So the Navy does agree. Yamamoto's against it, but Yamamoto isn't the most senior admiral, and he isn't the one controlling the Japanese Navy. But he's, of course, seen to be the best naval commander in the Japanese Navy. And he, is against going to war there. Okay, well, enough of the talking of all that. Let's continue our losing. Oh, we had a major victory here. Okay, province lost probably would be this. We've won here. Okay, well, we won it here. Yes, we won here. Good. Okay, well, these guys are moving, but way too slowly to probably do enough good. Okay, we've lost a province. We're okay down here, because that's where we're going to lose a lot of provinces, a lot of province notifications down here. Defense and depth. Okay, that's good. Good, we're going to get some money, some supplies. Nice, 1%. We don't need any coal, so not right now. Lose descent. I'm waiting for these, because if you don't do this will get you to a descent, but this will reduce descent. Reduce descent. Reduce descent. And we've almost got rid of all of our descent. Yay. This is why I sort of was going to stop, because we're not going to hold here, and I don't think we're going to hold here, and I think we're going to, I don't know if we can retreat out in enough time. Another Jaeger division shattered. What a surprise. Okay. Under attack, and you're moving back in. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. It was one of these over here, was it? No, it was... Oh, it was our special Jaegers over here that just got munched. Okay. Ouch. Well, maybe we'll send these guys up to Finland. I don't know if they'll get there in any useful amount of time. Don't know where we'll send this stuff. This unit did fight pretty damn well. With a special purpose armor. Which is not very good for armor, but it's very good for, naval landings. Yep, you're gonna get, okay, you're gonna be just fine, I think. Yeah, because they're putting, okay, capital ship. They control computers, nice. No, they're not computers you can play video games on. But you get to play it in real life. How much oil did the Dutch East Indies have compared to other countries? Large amounts. they still have fairly large amounts of oil down there. So more than enough, but they didn't have enough for Japan's needs. More than enough, but they didn't have enough extraction ability. So if you understand, one, the Dutch destroy a bunch of the oil infrastructure. I don't think they set into the oil fields on fire as so much as just simply destroy the extraction infrastructure. You know, I don't know if it's you do understand that normally when you first drill down into an oil deposit, and you've probably seen on oil, some old film of an oil gusher. Well, you really don't want that to continue much because that's just spilled and wasted oil normally. I mean, you can sort of, suck it up and use it and get the dirt out of it and, strain it and refine it. That's part of the refining process. So normally you cap it off. Well, at first, because it's normally the oil under the ground is under a certain amount of pressure. So at first it will artesian, it's called, or, gush out of the ground. At some point, it'll stop doing that. And that's when you have to get the oil wells, things that you see that go up and down, that pump the oil out. And then as we've learned now, and only in, I think, the last 20 or 30 years really have we learned this, because they're going back, particularly in the United States, but I also think other places, into oil fields that were pumped dry in the past. They're going back and finding oil, is because there's a lot of oil that has either always was, or just generally because of the pressure, it seeped into the we'll call it the ground. It could be different types of rocks or whatever. And because you've pumped all that oil out of there, it now, because it's all that other oil in it, maybe at really minute little bit levels, that slowly seeps out into the void pockets over time and refills back up. And I don't know that we're really clear on how much is out there that's going to possibly keep refilling these voids, because we're learning a lot of voids that, like by the 70s or the 80s, that had run out, big oil strikes that are, wherever, that they're going back and looking now, and they're finding lots of oil there. So, yeah. I don't know whether the oil needed to be pumped by this stage in particularly Borneo here. Whether it needed to be pumped or was still artesianing. But you have not only the pumping out, you have the different levels of transportation, and then of course, the big ships, they can burn the oil straight out of the ground, though it's better if it's refined to some degree. For like motor oil, that to oil an engine, you needed to refine it a moderate amount. To get it into gasoline, and particularly like aviation gasoline, you got to refine it a lot more. So it's all of that infrastructural elements that Japan is having hard time. So it's probably enough oil, but Japan never gets enough oil that it's comfortable, kind of thing. So it's as much about infrastructure, because if you're still getting oil out of these oil wells, the Sultan of Brunei, who's somewhere over here, I think, he's very rich from his oil deposits, and they're still getting oil out in some of these wherever it is. No, wrong button. Yeah, over here. They're still getting oil out there. This is just an estimation for this game of what they were getting back then. Down here at Bali Papan, lots of oil they got down here. So yeah. They had a lot in Borneo and Tarakan, Bali Papan, which they torched when the Japanese invaded, and a lot in Sumatra, which they also burned. The Japanese were not happy. The Japanese were not happy that happened, but they got it back into significant production. And I know I've said this before, but it was either here or here that they eventually moved the bulk of the Japanese Navy, because of the oil that was here. So instead of having to ship the oil to, whether it was out at Truck Island or up to Japan, which they were still shipping the oil just to get what they could out. By having the fleet sit out here, they could supply direct from the source without having to ship it anywhere. And so late in the war, for a while, they kept the fleet there until they needed it up, I think, in the Philippines, where a lot of it gets sunk. Okay, we've had a major victory. We've won that battle. We're having an inversion, whatever. We've lost this province. Okay, we won here. Okay, well, we've won here. Good. Now that we've lost our special purpose armor. These guys are moving. These guys are moving. All right, well. Took out a liner, good. And anything we're killing is good. Okay, we had a unit shattered. Is that one of these? No, that's not doing one. Where did the... Oh, here. Oh, we moved him to the front line to hold because he had the cavalry regiment. Okay, Italian division just shattered. Okay. Lone Italian division, but yeah. Anything else we want to particularly deploy now? Not really. Yeah, we're losing units over here. Yeah, move your garrison up here. We're going to garrison there. Hopefully you can hold there. Hopefully this garrison here will hold. And we got a little bit there. Gas ground crew, we'll let that go. SS heavy tank unit, yes. Yes, I hate these things. We have plenty of money, don't we? Yes, but I may cheat myself in more because, again, I hate the way that whole thing works. I'm totally against it. Okay, well, let's leave the supplies as they are. Okay, well, hold on. Okay, yes. They're coming to here. Strategically redeploy, get back across there. Try to hold along this river here, I guess. Supply there. So we can win where we have some supply levels. Here, we just won. Yeah, where we have supply, we can win. Like here. Well, these are just mountain troops and garrison soldiers against armor. See, that's some of the things, because we can see there's some armor units in there and some mechanized forces and whatnot. And we're not fighting in the mountains. Now we are fighting in the snows, so that is a help for us. Could you upgrade some divisions? You deploy garrison divisions. Yeah, these police. Okay, well, yeah, there's actually a couple of the Festoon units there that could go up there. Let's drop them here. They're not very good. These were meant to be sort of beach or port defense. These police units here will be no good at the front lines. They're purely revolt. Oh, we have although it's just a regiment. I'll leave the regiment there, and we'll leave whoever they auto assigned there. Okay, let's put you on board. Put you on board. And we're going to send you to here. Rebase. There's one out here, okay. Single fighter prototype, single engine fighter prototype. Okay, grayed out. Conf Group A advances. It's gotta be, isn't it, one of these? Nope. I just, oh well, no, that's down here. I think. No. Combined arms. Spearhead doctrine. Is it here that I'm just missing it? Air liaison pack front. Oh, here, up here, yeah. Oh, good. I was looking more over here. Okay, good. Yep. Organization morale, nice. One more unit shatter because of it. And CAG pilot training advance. We're going to let that go, but we got more. We'll do air liaison or ground attack efficiency. That's good. Panzer Screk. Mine got yes, mine got no. Of course, hell yes. Motorized. Panzer Screk, arrival of Soviet greater numbers. Okay, fortify the Channel Islands until forget it. We're gonna forget it. We're gonna not fortify the Channel Islands. We give them supplies each day. No, we're not selling off our supplies. We got a lot, but I'm not selling them off to you. Okay, so what did we just get a bunch of? No, they would be deployed. There we are. Okay, so these guys have got to build up. Well, I guess we'll send these guys out here. They need to go integrated into another division, so some division out somewhere will need to be shifted around, maybe remove the regular pack unit or something and add these to a better tank killing unit. Now where, and I didn't read the event, but I sort of know where a lot of these units came from, is home, you know, back home in Germany, anti-air units. At least that's my understanding historically where they came from. One sitting down here. And so we'll get them to the front, get them a bit more organized and reinforced, and then we will integrate them into some unit and maybe make us, I'm not sure whether we'll put them into a standard infantry division and give it some civilian transport levels, or just move the heavy flak into a already motorized unit. Not sure. Okay, now that light infantry regiment, which I haven't deployed, as low on supplies used right now, he has to retreat. Yeah, that's sort of what I'm doing. Where I have supplies, I'm able to hold the line. Like I've gotten here, this is all, you know, completely solid. Where it is solid here, we're doing okay for supplies. Here it's just that, and hopefully these Italians will get out of here and we'll be able to get more supplies before come down here and be completely wrecked. Don't know if I want to upgrade either one of those units right now. Well, here we're pretty good holding positions. This swamp is almost impenetrable for them. The only thing I really sort of wish I had here would be an anti-tank gun added to that, but otherwise we're doing pretty well. Down here, you're moving fast enough. How many units are attacking you? Okay, you have Spanish infantry division you can use in Russia. Yeah, I know. Oh, and the reason I created this light infantry regiment and a couple of other infantry regiments were to mix in for some units for assaulting some cities, because I thought they would do good. Yeah, I know. I'm just more worried about the Americans coming in and wanting to defeat them. And because, again, yeah, down here, if I had moved them early enough, fast enough, and got them here, it would have been good, and I should have done it. Okay, I'm not going to argue whether I should or shouldn't have done that. I should have. Okay, it just clearly I should have. I did not do so. For good or bad reasons, we can talk about that, but I should have moved them down here. I've got enough forces on the Eastern Front. Okay, I'll just say straight up, I've got enough forces here, but it's just like these have no supply. So it's not a question of needing more units. No, I strategically redeploy you. It's not a question of needing more units. It's a question of needing more supply. Okay, let's grab a couple of these units and send them here. Ones without supply, so we don't overburden this too much. Just for when the enemy show up, maybe we'll have. So it's not so much more units from somewhere else in most cases. Okay, well, let's see. This one, they currently estimate we'll get this in December 1945. Oh, we're in October 42, so not that long, Arno. We'll have it, a few years. That's mostly because we're probably, we only have a little bit of 14%. We have these other units that are much further along that I'd rather have done. Okay, we really don't need that commando unit, and it's taking up 9, so we're going to get that out of there. Okay, where we have some of these guys coming in October and December and October. So this will come a little faster now that we got rid of that, but yeah, it's not anytime soon. Okay, these guys are being pushed out already. Okay. Okay, you fall back to there. You fall back, you fall back. Yeah. Yeah, they did have anti-tank. One of the units did have anti-tank guns, but Well, we took out a few more subs. Nice. We're close to getting some infrastructure improvements, which will help our supply. Major victory, okay. We won here. Nice. And we won over there, good. And we lost Geberg's Jaeger division, which was one of the ones down here. Yay! Oh god, I don't know. Sending these guys down here, I don't know if I should or not, but how much of a difference do those divisions going to make in the Eastern Front once they get deployed? I don't think a lot, quite honestly. I think it's supply. Do understand that as you advance in this game, when you take a province, you capture the supply in the province. If I'm able to keep my momentum up, I'm able to keep advancing and taking supplies and keeping supplied that way. I just did not have the ability to keep the momentum up. There's reasons, but yeah. Amphibious unit training. We'll let that continue. That's 1938. Army Spearhead advance. I think that's over here. Yeah, we'll let that continue. But we're going to save this and we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you all who made it this far. I really do appreciate it. Now, do remember, if you like, now that this is over, you can replay this division, but then once you get the video going, or not replay this division, replay this episode. Once you get it going, you can simply turn the audio off and minimize the screen and go on about your day. And I get a second view and help out and it's not so much that I get the second view. It's that it shows YouTube that, hey, people are interested in to watch this more, so they will recommend it to more people, and hopefully those more people will want to watch and do all this stuff. So I want to thank you all who do that so much. I really do appreciate it. See you next time. Have you researched your supply text? Like, oh boy, yes. I wish. What should I call you? JHD. Those are the first three letters. You got too many letters, not enough vowels. I know there's a few vowels in there. Yeah, you can look here. The only reason I didn't do, well, this is 1944, so that's too far in advance. But, supply throughput 100%, supply transfer costs down 50, supply production really high. I didn't do the road networks for various reasons. Again, I wasn't planning on getting this far. So yeah, I've done a lot. Not all that I could do, but a lot. And we're researching everything I can now with some level of efficiency. I smashed the keyboard to get an aim. Yeah, it looks that way. JHD. Okay. Right. Well, I'll be right back, guys, before we start the next episode. They're almost back. Infantry techs, very good. They are, I do believe. We can take a quick look here. Let's see. Technology. We can see here various organizations are good. Up to 44 on these. We're researching assault rifles. We've got rocket-propelled anti-tank weapons. You know, the Panzerschreck type stuff. So yeah, we're pretty good on all of that. And on artillery, we're researching the 43s, and we're still just in 42. So yeah, so we're pretty good on most of those techs. All right. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. And if it's just welcome, thanks for coming here. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Everybody, I want to thank Sir Toyjet, Chief, the Hoffmanator, and all the other people that have over time supported me on Patreon. I really do appreciate it, you guys. You help keep all this stuff going, both the videos as well as the modding endeavor. It does help. But everybody else, if you can just hit that like button, and you know, a few people share it with a friend. I know Arno shares a lot of these on Hey Hoffman. A lot of shares the stuff over on Facebook. We do have if you're into Facebook, he manages the sort of channel fan page over there. But on any sort of social media, if you can tweet this out or something, find one new viewer would be great who might like this. I really do appreciate everyone who does that. That's the kind of stuff I really hope you guys can do. And of course, we are collapsing over here. We are holding in the north and holding in the center. We look like we may be, once the Italians leave, we may be able to keep this fuel supplied enough to hold in the south here. But here we are collapsing, and of course, Finland is not doing well. And we are sending up, where is it? It's probably still way back here. We got some ships headed. We're sending in more forces up to here to hold. Thank you, Arno. If you guys are interested in Facebook, I really thank Arno for doing it. It's really good. It helps out. I know there's not a lot of people there. It's just, I've been there a bunch of times, but I don't check it daily or anything like that. I'm more on Twitter and some other types of social media. Hey, Arno, do you want to maybe, if it's easy for you to post in both, also post the link, an invite to our Discord server, so maybe we get some more people to show up there? Either play games with us or whatnot, or just hang out. Okay, Panzer Corps shattered. We lost a province there. That's just retreating back. Oh, we're retreating out of here. Okay. Yeah, no organization, no supply. They're here now. Okay, well, let's find this unit that shattered here. Yeah, okay. Thanks so much, Arno. I do appreciate it. We're hovering right around 200. I think it's just under 200 people on the Discord server. And we'd like more people to hang out. We got voice chat channels, so you can, because I'm on there a bunch. Normally when I'm like playing War Thunder or something. And a few times I've even done special shows for, broadcast, over Discord. Discord exclusives, as it were. Let's see. Yeah, what's the supply situation here? What? says we have supplies. Don't know why we don't have supplies here. Yeah, okay. Just leave Finland, it's lost. Well, okay, I hear your point. But once it's done, all these units here are either going to start slamming up into, here, and we're going to then lose this, which we may lose this anyways, but we'll lose this faster. But once this is all done, they're going to come somewhere else and attack. So I might as well, for now, keep it going. And now I'm not going to, well, now here might be a case where we have enough supply. Might be a case for where I should move, or should have moved, the armor that's down here. Now most of this armor is crappy French armor, and maybe I could let this upgrade here. But you'll see a lot of this armor is French model, so it's only going to upgrade somewhat, I think. But maybe more than I think, I don't know. So we'll see about that. Here's a question: how motorized was the Soviets compared to Germany? I don't have a good comparison for that. I'm going to say probably about the same. The primary transport for Germany were two types of transport. One, the horse, but really the primary transport for Germany was the railroad. A lot of people don't really take that into account, but the railroad. And transport is not just how a division gets from point A to point B. Definitely when you're moving a division from, say, France to the Eastern Front, it's going on the railroad. We all know that. And it's definitely, a division is either walking or driving or riding a horse or whatever forward, as it's advancing that way. But transport also is supplies, whether it's sort of strategic level supplies or tactical level supplies. That artillery piece that's on the front line, how does it get its ammo? Because it's only going to have, 100, 200 rounds sort of with it. Well, whether that's being in a wagon towed by a horse or in a back of a truck. Well, how do you get the ammo from, say, the railhead, wherever the rail, wherever you're unloading the ammo is from the rail, to the unit? Well, is it going to be trucks going back and forth, or is it going to be wagons going back and forth? So, and food, your daily food, and all that kind of stuff. You have all that transport. So the primary two transports for the German army were the horse and the railroad. Railroad getting stuff there. Then various motorization stuff, combination of captured and produced and some very high-tech, half-track type things to some very basic truck type transport, including captured stuff of all of that. The Soviets, they, I'm forgetting one of the major truck manufacturers that I know, my friend Mikhail, just sent me 4 photos of them in the 30s from their factory. They made lots of trucks, and they had a lot of American help designing some of their factories and setting up some of their factories in the 30s during the Great Depression. But I think it's mostly, again, not motorized, either on a tactical level, within like the division, or on a strategic level. Well, it's trains. They do lots of trains, they do lots of horses. That is where this game, and though we're going to now see the change in Hearts of Iron 4, and while that's the big exciting thing is they're having railroads, we'll see how good it does. And I was telling them they needed to way back at the start of the thing. I know I wasn't the only one, but the railroad, there was a railroad coming down here on this side of the Volga that allowed them to move enough supplies back and forth, as well as on the Volga itself, that for the Russian counteroffensive. Without that, the Russian counteroffensive wouldn't have happened. So you have to remember railroads are really the key here. And if supply could flow effectively along the railroads, and why don't we have more supply or more infrastructure here? Let's do that and move this to the top. I know I'm pushing Arno's heavy armor back even more. It's now saying March 43, so we're getting a little closer, but that'll change to delay, diversion, advance. Okay. So how do I put this? Yes, there should be a contiguous front, effectively, you know, on this scale of a game. But the real decision point elements should be who holds the railroads where. And so if you don't hold the railroads, you should very quickly, and you may hold intermittent railroads, but unless you have connected railroads to move supplies through it, you should be very quickly collapsing with what's going on. So particularly on the Eastern Front, it's so different here. The rail density here is so much deeper. It doesn't hardly matter. Yeah, you'll get truck transport through the Ardennes here, and if you're going to do a long-term campaign, you need to come through like Liège and Hasselt or whatever here, and run trains, or some other place. So there are, low infrastructure levels that aren't really showing up here so much on the game, a little bit. But for railroads, they're that important. So I guess what I'm saying is even the United States, if Germany can hold to the north, and if Germany can hold to the south, and if Germany can sort of allow a bulge to come into here, kind of thing, maybe along the Moselle or the Rhine or whatever, America can't push enough supplies through the Ardennes to sustain a huge long-term campaign. It could do a tactical operation like, again, 1940 or 1944, either Ardennes offensives that the Germans did, but that's different than a strategic long-term major invasion of, say, somebody like Germany. Well, we won here, good. Okay, you come to there as fast as possible. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that's a heavy tank unit. Yeah, no, we're falling back to here. Yeah, a lot of this comes down to logistics. Here, this is somewhat realistic in the sense that there were probably too many Soviet units here for sure, but the Soviet Union would have had a difficulty in invading here against, let me qualify this, against a well-equipped and motivated enemy. When the Soviet Union and Britain invaded Iran, Iran just did not have the supply base. They didn't even make their own bullets, people. Iran didn't even make their own pews that go out of the pew. So once they were out of bought ammunition, they were out of whatever war. Hello, Beamslam. How are you doing? I guess you're saying you're fine. Yes, I'm reading down. Good. Gray days can be fun, it's just that there's too many gray days. Well, we have the reinforcements coming, so there they are. And they're moving. Major victory. Okay, good. We're holding here. Where we can get supplies, we're doing okay. Artillery support has advanced. Very good. Soft attack. Their clue is to human wave doctrine, so I think that is sure, I think it was one of these. Maybe it was human wave. Grand battle, I don't know. I don't know. Mechanized breakthrough and exploitation. Good, that will help us. Make sure we're good enough. Yep, lots of problems, lots of supply issues. Our allies ate too much supplies. We're letting them all go home. They weren't very effective. Major defeat. We won there. We lost here. Okay. Okay, guys. Here it happens. Finally, this one province held out for so long. Don't know why it doesn't have worst infrastructure. You can see this one province here is a huge province, but it kept all of these others secure from being the flanks being turned. Now their flanks are going to be turned. So let's see about getting out. No. You keep coming down to here. Maybe you can make it in the hills to hold here a little while longer. Okay, they've almost fallen back to there. Well, guys, I think it's going to be... Where do we hold at? Maybe down here. Maybe we can hold here. I don't know. But we've got to start falling back. Yeah, I remember it. Okay, you're actually over in Jutland. Okay. I knew you were in Denmark. Beam Slam. But I don't know, you may have said before and I just forgot, but I probably just presumed Copenhagen area or something, but... Yeah, we'll see what we can get down here. One, we have to decrease the size of our front line. So I don't know if this hole is worth it, you know, trying to defend in here. Or if we can come back to like this province, or maybe back down to here and here. Yeah, this would probably be better. And that way we could then hold here and here and here. Try to hold here and here. This is mostly just to deny them the oil there, but if not, fall back to there. And if that can't hold, then we come back to down here in Iran. We could probably hold if we can extract our forces out in decent enough intact. Last weekend for a party. Nice to have nightlife again. Very good. Yeah. I think we just have to go back to living our lives. I think, and I'm not going to say it's not bad, but however bad COVID is, I think we just need to go back to living our lives. You know, a year ago or so, what was the thing they were saying? Yeah, 15 days to flatten the curve. You know, people are going to get sick. Lots of them are going to get sick. But we just want to flatten it so we don't overwhelm the hospitals. Now it's like we want to stamp this all out, and it's disrupting our lives too much. You know, and I know people have died from it. God, I know. And I hope none of you die, of course, from it. Whoever, watching now or watching later. But I think we just have to go back to living our lives. Whatever that means. That doesn't mean you have to go to, you know, the most crowded concert in the world and, you know, cough on everybody. But, you know, just go back to doing things more so. Okay, and everyone, and now everyone should make their own choices too. I want to say that too. If you don't start, well, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah, you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. You know, whatever it is. If it ain't fun, don't do it. Division headquarters. That is so. Yeah, okay there. But SS Panzer. Okay. I think we'll let that go. Now that should give us a couple of good things here we want to do. Party rally. Okay, money down, but we'll either cheat more money in or whatnot, because I'm sick of having to pay for some of this crap. But national revolt risk down, daily dissent change, national party support. Yes, we want to do that. Party rally. They did sort of kind of continue these, but not anywhere near the scale of the Nuremberg rallies during the war. Study for this. Just don't know that I want to pull some of those other units off the front line. Well, we're getting some of our infrastructure about ready to come. Is there any more air groups with ground support attacking than you can do? Probably a little better, but than I can do. But we are running sort of out of supplies for some of the stuff, so I'm not pushing that too much. Because down here okay, well, we do have these guys here. Oh, these guys should be up fighting. I don't know why they're not. Okay, that will help. Here, okay, well, let's attack this province. And yeah, I'm playing a lot faster and loose than you should, and than I would like to play with this game. Waiting for these guys to fully withdraw before I start withdrawing. Okay, supply. Oh. Okay, you have some supply here. Good. So what we'll do here, we'll leave the anti-tank one there. We'll move the other one to here to be... no, we'll move the anti-tank one over to here. Where the... yeah. So yeah. Really bad. Yeah. We're not doing well in Finland. Not one little bit. Let's move you. You're a weak unit, but maybe stacked with something else you'll do better. So let's move you up to there. I'm just going to save this again. Yeah, where we can get supplies, we can keep organized and do all right. I've made so many mistakes with this campaign. They've withdrawn just fine out to there, so let's move you to here. Keep coming, keep coming. I don't want these guys to get cut off. Okay, Spain would like to produce Messerschmitt. Sure, go ahead, have fun, knock yourself out. Would you ever do America Let's Play Parts of Iron 3? I would do one. My original plans had been, I don't know why I'm saving so soon after the last save, but my original plans had been to go back and forth between Germany and then another country, and then Germany, and then another country, and you know, but I've been playing a lot of Germany, mostly because I'm testing TRE and wanted to see, or testing for TRE or testing TRE, so we're doing more Germany. The main reason I have less interest than other nations to play the US is it should just be so easy, because you know, you're just the uber power. You just go and conquer everything. We know how to do it. We saw how to do it in World War II, and yeah, we could do some things different, maybe a little better. But presuming a sort of 1941, you know, start time, you know, I don't really know how we get much better than what we had. You keep falling back to there. You fall back to here. Now that we are there, you keep coming back. I mean, okay. You the baddies. Hello, Mein Kampf, who is the baddies. I guess. Yeah, we're playing Germany as the baddies. Okay, here's a question for either somebody in chat live now or watching later on the standard sort of YouTube segments. What would you do different as America than America did during World War II? What, you know, where do you see? I'm not talking about old Mark Clark, you know, when he lands in Anzio down here. He should have pushed hard and fast for Rome, and he should have. I think that's clear. And I'm not talking about a tactical kind of thing like, yeah, he should have pushed faster. Yeah, that's a mistake. And you know, he thought he was going to be facing a much stronger enemy, and he gave the enemy time to get in there and face what he ended up facing was what he expected to face. You know, a tough German opponent, but they just weren't there at the time of landing and able to push in. And he was able to fight his way out of Anzio. So yeah, I wouldn't call him a bad general, just one that, you know, the unknown around him was something that he didn't want to risk pushing into. But so not something like that that's sort of tactical, but sort of strategy. How would you have done differently? They need to be nuked. The Soviet, yes, need to be checked. Sure, we should. If we had nukes, we would use it. So what would be different than sort of doing the sort of standard World War II play of, you know, action as the US? Okay, there. Okay, no, you withdraw to there. You just withdraw there because these guys are almost there. They'll help hold. They'll help hold there. Soviet Union play was actually going to be before I got to the American play. I think you guys, especially those who have watched, know I'm very much an anti-Nazi. I do not have sympathy for totalitarianism. I don't have sympathy for their racism. I'm just against either one of those ideas. But Nazi Germany and Hitler fascinate me. Okay, I'm fascinated with, uniform details and history details and all that kind of stuff with Nazi Germany. Doesn't mean I like it. I'm just fascinated by it. Sort of like one archaeologist who was on the main sort of guy that was on Time Team. Time Team, the archaeology show in Britain. Mick, he was fascinated with monasteries and monks and whatever, but he was an atheist. I think that's part of his reason of his fascination was something that he is not. And I don't know if it's quite the same with me, but not pro-Nazi. Yes, I am an American, if that's what you're asking. I thought it was maybe not to everybody, I guess, but apparent by my accent. One idea. Okay, get to that in a second. So I hate communism. I mean, as much or more than Nazism. Nazism is evil and bad. Just communism is worse. Kills more people. It's worse. The Soviets don't really have all the cool different uniforms to study, because the Reichsbahn, the railway group, has their own sets of uniforms, including Reichsbahn police and just Reichsbahn, ticket takers and whatnot. There's all kinds of uniforms and all kinds of interesting stuff to study with Nazi Germany. They just don't really have that kind of stuff to study for the Soviet Union. So it's just not nearly as interesting to me as the Soviet Union. So it's a combination of hatred and just not enough stuff to be terribly interested. That doesn't mean I don't get the idea of the challenge of trying to hold back the invading German hordes, if you will. And that's more of a challenge. I see it then as, how is America to defeat the Soviet Union? I mean, not Soviet, well, yeah, that too, but defeat Nazi Germany. But let's see what beams up. One idea springs to mind is about U.S. strategy might have invaded the south of France in 43 instead of going all the way up Italy. Yes, that is an interesting idea. I wonder how the war would have looked if that would have happened. Yes, the Soviets just had anoraks. Yeah, I mean, the Soviets are just sloppy dressers. Yeah, you do have some parade uniforms that are made, but it's just not, you don't have that pageantry that Germany had. Pageantry, I guess if it's voluntary, meaning it's not enforced upon you, is cool. Dress up for the parade, for the circus, for whatever, cool. But I don't like totalitarianism, so I'm, have no sympathy for it. But I do have an interest in Hitler in multiple ways, including how he comes to power and all of that kind of stuff. So all that's sort of interesting to me. So that's why I'm interested in the modding for Germany. Though I have Mikhail sending me all kinds of stuff, I could easily create a Soviet mod. It just takes time. And also the other problem with the Soviet Union is I can not that I understand the German words, but I can read the German words. And sort of get the sounds like Mein Kampf. But if you were to start putting up Cyrillic writing, I'm at a total loss. So there's less, it's harder for me to look into the Soviets than into Western language based stuff like German, like French, like whatever. I mean, it's as hard as, and I took 3 years of Japanese, but it's as hard as Japanese or Chinese trying to decipher it. So I just don't have, those are the sort of three things. Hard to research for me, in depth. I mean, sure, I like a book, Hitler versus Stalin. It was sort of comparing the leadership between Hitler and Stalin and whatnot, and the war sort of, and the two different sort of countries kind of thing. The two individuals, the sort of two different war systems, not political systems, as well as sort of the fighting at the front. And so, yeah, books written in English, and I've read a bunch that cover the Soviet Union. Watch a huge number of documentaries that are sort of Soviet based that have been made. So I know about it. It's just not as easy for me to get into it and dig deep like I do for Germany or something like that. Oh, these guys finally made it out here. Okay, well, guess we can put you under that. Who's your commander? Okay. He's the one that's running those guys. Well, I guess I'll just sit here for the moment. These are the Indian regiments. Okay. Let's talk about this a little bit. South of France. Okay. I love the fleet, Bertaux's Imperial System and 9/11 stores there. Bomb. I mean, evil is not a contest of who kills more people. Yeah, partially it is. Partially it is. I think leveling, as in communism, as in everybody should be equal, is an evil system because it does not allow for the humans to achieve their individual abilities. It's sort of like, okay, we're going to run a race, but no one can go faster than anybody else around the track. We're all going to move at the same speed because we're all equal here. Kind of thing. So I think communism is evil. Now you may go, well, racism is evil, gamer, it's more evil or something. Well, yes, it's evil, but is it more evil? And you have to, if you're a Nazi, Nazis believed that they were doing this for the good of mankind. That's what they believed. They weren't. It wasn't good for the mankind, but they believed in eugenics, and it's sort of like those, some people, Khan Nomi and Singh of, Star Trek, the eugenics wars and the sort of uber human, the superior human. Nazis wanted to genetically, as they understood genetics as a, I don't think we understand genetics today, but we understand it so much more than they did. But through breeding genetics, they wanted to breed better humans and get rid of sick humans. You have people today wishing other people would die so that they don't spread COVID. Like, those guys aren't wearing masks. They're super spreaders. They should just die. Well, that's what the Nazis thought. That's what, the people that wish to demonize somebody, well, that person is spreading COVID. Well, if he knows he's sick and he's going around other people, yeah. But if you don't think you're sick, that's no worse than what in people want them to die or want them to be locked up in camps. That's no worse. It's modern Nazism. These people, like in Australia and other places, and some of you people may agree, and I know some of Italy was hit hard with COVID. God, I know, but this is going to get me demonetized, I guess. I don't know. And I recently had an old video jerked for hate speech. And I went for the appeal, and because I didn't watch every moment of it, but I skipped through it, and I didn't see any, because I didn't know no major lecture, so I don't know. It was just me invading Norway in Hearts of Iron 4. I think it was the historical music that was playing from, that Paradox included, Deutschland über alles, or was it Panzer Lid? I don't know, but I'm not sure why it was jerked. I mean, not just demonetized, I mean removed for hate speech, but. Okay. Yes, if you know you're sick, you shouldn't, if you know you have AIDS, you shouldn't have sex with anybody or let your needles, if you're an IV drug user, or just if you take drugs with needles, not dangerous drugs, I mean like medicine drugs. You shouldn't, share needles if you have AIDS, okay? We know this. it used to be a crime to do so in California. Now, hey, no, it's no longer a crime to if you know you have AIDS and you have sex with somebody, it's no longer a crime in California because hey, gay people have gay rights. But so yeah, if you know you have COVID and you're spreading it, and you knowingly do so, that's bad. But all the people, make your own choices about masks and about vaccines, and the unvaccinated, they need to be vaccinated. They should just die because they're going to kill me. Well, that's what the Nazis believed about genetics. They thought these genetically inferior people, sometimes like people with Down syndrome, and other people, like Jews, were maybe not killing that one individual now immediately, but killing the race, killing the uplift of the race. That's what they believed. I don't believe that. This is, I'm talking about them. So the Nazis, they thought they were trying to help humanity by getting rid of the inferior that were going to be useless eaters, be spreaders, continuing, spreading their genetic material, having sex and babies, around the world. And they were trying to clean up the human race, or at least the European portion of the human race. I don't know that they ever really cared about Africa or whatever. Just let that go wallow in its mire or something. But clean up they thought they were fighting this war against evil disease. Okay? That's what comes down to the heart and soul of Nazism. There's more to it than just that. And so if communism is totalitarianism, because it's collectivism and it's not individualism, so it's totalitarianism, and Nazism is totalitarianism, so those are both equally evil. The Nazis wanted to medically improve humanity, and the communists want to make everyone equally bad, or they might think equally good. Now, I understand and I understand why, Marx was wrong. Okay, Marx was wrong about history, and he was a historian, and his historical dialectic. He was wrong about that. He was wrong that economics was the primary motivator for human activity, endeavors. I think it's ideology, whether that ideology is religion or other things, political, like economic ideologies or religious, religious wars. I don't think it's economics. Economics just facilitates. It makes, one side more victorious over the other, but it's not why things are happening. So Marx is wrong in his dialectic. Marx is wrong in his motivations for actions of humanity, and Marx is wrong in his ideology of fairness. Fairness is not equality is not fairness. And so Marx is wrong on all this stuff, but yes, I understand in the 19th century when you have people starving in the streets of London or the streets of Moscow, and you have elites drinking out of an expensive glass and then throwing it in the fireplace, so they're using it once and throwing it away kind of thing. Maybe not every day all the time, but for special toasts and whatever, when these are expensive glasses, drinking glasses that they're throwing away. And so when you have people starving, yeah, that's sort of a bad system because you're failing a large portion of your population. Now, that doesn't mean art shouldn't exist, even in a world in which there are people that can't afford it, but still you could do better management of your society. And so I understand why, especially in the 19th century, or especially in the third world, Marxism has, flourished, because they see elites and they see really poor people that don't, I've been poor in my life. There's nothing wrong with being poor, and having poor people. What is bad is people who don't have enough food, people who don't have a home to live in, people who can't afford the general, basic, not even necessities, but just basic minimal comforts of life, like being able in a Western society owning a basic level of computer, or something like that. But now most people have a cell phone. There's a little computer. So being poor in the West, mostly. I mean, there's truly poor people. Now, a lot of them, there's a lot of street people where I live here in Southern California. There are a lot of their mental, they're often caused by drugs, but they're into the mental illness phase. And we allow them to live on streets instead of forcing them into, we used to, but we passed laws in the U.S. to keep them from being forced into medical, psychological medical treatment. It's voluntary unless they're a danger to themselves or others. Otherwise, it's voluntary. And if they don't want to go to medical facilities and take medicine, we just allow them on the streets. That's why you find these homelessness. Most of them are things like that. There's reasons for it. I'm not saying they should be there. I'm just saying there's reasons for it. And it is not because, they can't function in a job. So yeah, it's that economically, but it's not because we don't have jobs for them. We need more people working in Southern California. Most businesses have a help wanted sign, but they're not going to get a crack addict or a meth addict to come and work in their, I'm not saying a recovering person, who's off of it. I'm saying a person who's currently on it. They're not going to get them to come and work in their fast food restaurant. But we have the jobs to employ them. It is not an economic reason. Most of the people are homeless in California. It is a social, medical kind of reason. Mental health, drug addiction is a medical situation. I'm not trying to blame. They obviously went down this path. I wish we had a better system to help them. I'm not trying to throw the people out. It's a whole nother thing. So Marxism is evil in that it's leveling, it's all this stuff, and it kills millions of people. Nazism is evil because it wants to kill off what it sees as diseased genetically, but they would also do it to people who have other diseases too, to kill off people. So I see both very evil, and communism as a greater evil than Nazism. Let's read some of the chat. I've been sort of focused on this. Too bad there may be a copycat somewhere around the web. Okay, I guess it's cheap on Streamer GOG. Yeah, you can look and get it sometimes very cheap for some sales, Arno. Put it on your wish list and buy one on sale. Absolutely, Beam Slam. Yeah. So, yeah, that's sort of why I see communism as more evil. But this is one thing that I want to say very much that I try to do. Sometimes I'm just playing a game for fun, but streaming, though it didn't go over very well, I really enjoyed playing Warhammer 40K Battle Sector, or, just playing something like that. But what I really try to do with my channel here is historical lessons, or lessons from history. Not so much, lessons from history, not so much the details, and we do talk about, historical details, talking about a particular battle, or earlier, like we're talking about the historical oil situation in Dutch East Indies at the time. Yeah, but it's more the lessons from history, whether it's good lessons or bad lessons, the evils of the Nazis, evils of the communists, or whatever, it's not so much the particular details of a particular thing. It's more the lessons to be learned from history. That is what I try to focus on with these series and whatnot, so that people understand why I think it is good or bad. Because, like saying now about the COVID situation and either unvaccinated people, because hey, if the vaccine works, then why do you care if somebody's unvaccinated? You won't get it. Oh, well, they're finding out the vaccine may not work. But if you get it, it makes you not as sick. Okay, good. So it sort of works. Well, if it sort of works, but people don't want to take it because it doesn't really work, why are you upset? People don't want to wear masks and they're not visibly, coughing and seeming to be sick. Don't worry about it, people. Now you go, well, but you might catch it. Well, stay away from people. Your freedom is important. And so, because I see us moving more towards tyranny for the good reasons of protecting people from disease. And I see we're moving towards it again. And so, you have a lot of racism in the world. A lot of racism. Most of it outside of the Western world. You don't think the Chinese and the Japanese are racist? You don't think the Vietnamese and the Vietnamese have always looked down on their Montagnard, because the Vietnamese, I believe, are basically more or less Han Chinese types that have moved coastally into Vietnam and have, over the generations, formed their own stuff, where the Montagnards is sort of a French term, but the mountain peoples were the more, if you will, indigenous people. I mean, the Vietnamese are now indigenous to Vietnam, but earlier settled peoples there. The Vietnamese look down on the Montagnards as being inferior racially. Then you have the Kramer peoples and the Thais, and they're all racist against each other. They're racist against like Africans and other groups. So there's a lot of stuff like that going on in the world. And whether it looks like Nazism or whether it looks like you see in Russia and Ukraine sort of neo-Nazis, but Slavs that are trying to, be superior, I'm trying to tell people why these ideologies are bad, why they should not be followed, whether you use a swastika or some other symbol for your thing, your group. And yeah, that's sort of why I do all this stuff. I think you don't understand how vaccine works. Vaccines will give you a certain... No, I know how vaccines work on the basics of it. I don't, maybe, yeah. The real vaccine, which is different than what we recently get, they give you some dead, non-replicating elements of the virus, meaning it doesn't replicate, into your body reacts to it. Sometimes you feel sick, you sort of are sick, but you didn't catch whatever, and your body learns to fight it off. And so when you get exposed to the active versions of the flu or whatever, it knows how to fight it off and it just fights it off. That's how vaccines work. The current stuff we see, because of the changing fast mutation into the D variant, the earlier vaccines aren't protecting you from the D variant. But supposedly, if you have the vaccine, and I don't know if this is true or not, but supposedly if you have the vaccine, you suffer less worse severeness of having it because your body has sort of learned how to fight off a version of it, maybe. I don't know. I agree with you on that, Gamer. Vaccines are useful for those at risk of dying and should be voluntary for the rest of us. Absolutely beam slam. I mean, they should be, I understand some, there are some vaccines that are more or less required in Western society that are much more established and much longer tested vaccines. But even there in the U.S., there were religious exemptions or are religious exemptions that you could file for, and not have your kid vaccinated for some of the stuff. And because there are some communities in America, some are like the Amish that I mean, they sort of semi-isolate themselves, but they don't take vaccines, or at least not the COVID one. They just let it come through their community, and then those that survive. And it's a religious ideology. And others that are much more intermixed within society, meaning they don't separate themselves out by wearing different clothing or only, using horse and buggies and not driving automobiles or whatever. So there's different religious groups and there's different reasons. And yeah, that you can still get infected. Vaccines are not barriers to avoid getting infected. Yeah, I know, but it's just, you know, you have to. I'm for liberty. I'm for liberty. Everybody has a vaccine to eradicate a disease. Here in Denmark, it is 98, but it's still voluntary and no one is forced, and I like that. Yeah, I'm still not vaccinated. I prefer to keep safe in other ways now. Yeah, Beam Slam, and I know I've talked about, I have a situation with blood clots, and I'm concerned about the vaccine because it's known to give you blood clots. Now, of course, COVID is known to give you blood clots. So I'm concerned about it. So I'm so far, I mean, I go to the grocery store, I go to the fast food store, and, you know, I don't like to go through, well, I don't like sitting in my car waiting in, for multiple reasons, waiting in line to go there. So I walk in, but I'm not going to go to a big concert where I get pushed up against random individuals that I can't easily step back from, you know, kind of thing. So I'm not, you know, hanging out with large crowds of people. Not that I went to lots of concerts prior. I mean, I've been to a bunch of concerts in my life, but I hadn't in the last 4 or 5 years. But you know, before this whole thing started. So not like I'm giving up something I was doing a lot. But yeah, I'm not going out and being as social as I used to. I used to work as a bouncer and whatnot. I mean, this was long ago now, but where you can get it. So yeah, if you have a problem, like I'm sort of not going to places where you would need a bouncer, meaning that there's a big enough crowd. I'm staying away from it. And so, yeah, it's just this forced element is a problem, and it's the same problem of saying, you know, and you go, well, it's not responsible. Okay, people can be irresponsible. Okay, you know, people get to be irresponsible. You know, people can go run around in traffic, and we give them tickets for it, but we let them run around in traffic. You know, I mean, you know, like just, you know, go walk in traffic. The policeman will pull them, give them a ticket, but they get to do it, and they'll give them another ticket. People can be irresponsible. Just the way life is. Life ain't safe. Base game is €10, but the collection version is, yeah or no. But just watch. On some of the big sales that Paradox will do, and sometimes if you watch the Paradox website for Hearts of Iron 4, you can get it super cheap because they dump, because if you buy it on Paradox's website, they'll still give you the Steam code because they distribute it through Steam, but they don't have to give Steam a cut of the sales. See, Steam gets a big cut when you buy it on Steam. That's one of the reasons they do big sales when you buy it just on the Paradox website, whatever game, because they don't have to give the 30% that Steam takes, but they still generate a code to let you download it and play it on Steam. It's just, and part of the reason that, I mean, there's multiple reasons that Steam gets 30%, which is super high in my opinion. But part of the reason is, like, if you don't like the game and you want to charge back, you know, oh, the game isn't working on my computer, give me my money back. Steam handles all that. But if you get the code from Paradox has to handle all of, like, returns on the game or whatever. Or you got any complaints, you go to Paradox for that, not through Steam. But you still get downloaded from Steam. So just watch the sales, and you'll be able to get a pretty decent sale on the thing some point. Don't need those vehicles and uniform packs. Yeah, oh yeah, you don't need the vehicles and uniform packs because those are for 3D sprites. You just want to get what you want to get is the base game, For the Motherland, Their Finest Hour, and Semper Fi. Those are the 3 DLCs that you need, and the base game. That's it. You don't need all the vehicle packs. You don't need the other cool, but because I recommend playing Black Ice, you don't need Gata Damarang and some of the other nice DLCs from D-Day back in the day. But yeah, you can just get the basic game. and the three main DLCs. That's all you need for Hearts of Iron. Well, I think we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. And again, I want to thank Toyjet, Chief, the Hoffmanator. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few others that have supported me over on Patreon. But everybody else, now that we're sort of done, can you watch it again, but you can turn the sound off and minimize it so you don't have to repeat it that way. So thank you, everyone. And what is the problem is I can buy it on Steam via Steam card, but I don't have to internet banking, so I can't buy it on the Paradox. Okay, site. Yeah, that does make sense. So wait for a sale. Wait for a sale, Arno. And you can get it then. I'm not a communist myself, but here's a question. Hypothetically, there's a successful revolution. How would you achieve a better world for the workers if you rule with an iron fist? How you achieve a better world for the workers if you... Well, see... So this is the thing that in a Western country, we're talking about Western, we're not talking about in China or in North Korea, two communist countries, or in Africa. But, and okay, maybe we'll take Latin America, which is sort of Western, but yeah, it's Western, but we're in a Western country in a modern day situation. Our workers bad off. So, but that is how do you achieve a better world for the workers if you rule with an iron fist? Well, the reason you have to rule with the iron fist is that people will ignore government government orders. The farmer will grow his food, and that he's supposed to turn into the food, depot to then be distributed to the people. But the farmer, somebody will go, hey, you got all those extra potatoes over there. I'll give you this nice new pair of shoes for that bag of potatoes. See, I make shoes in the shoe factory, and here's some shoes for that. And it normally costs me 3 bags of potatoes to get the money to buy a pair of shoes. You're willing to give me a pair of shoes for a bag of potatoes? Okay, the black market springs up, so you have to clamp down. That was a big problem under the Soviet Union and other stuff, the black market, if you will. Is human endeavor will never be equal in a communist sense without an iron fist. Because, if you were to go, everybody gets, every farmer gets a same amount of land. Well, some farmer is going to be more successful than the other farmer for whatever reason. He's going to have more money, and then he's going to go to that other farmer. Hey, I'll give you some money for your farm, or half your farm, or part of your farm. And the guy will go, well, fine, good. I would rather have money because I'm not a good farmer. My farm isn't doing well. I'd rather have the money. And so the one farmer who's doing well will buy up 3 or 4 farms, and he'll have more than the other farmers. Or the worker will go, hey, yeah, because now they always see communism in the form of big factories. So all those workers in that factory own the factory. How does that work? In a non-authoritarian system. Well, all the workers own the factory. Okay, so let's say you have how do you decide to build a new factory? Without authoritarianism, without iron fist rule. But let's say you have a factory there. I got a factory right over there. There's 100 workers in there, and we're all going to own 1% of that factory because there's 100 workers, and we're all going to own an equal percent of factory. Okay. The next day, there's 200 people show up. Well, because I'm the new worker here. Because why? Because I said I'm the new worker here. I just showed up. So now everybody in the factory owns 0.5% of the factory because now it's doubled in workforce. Right? Well, how do you determine the ownership of this factory? Only because somebody with a gun says that these people are workers in that factory and these people aren't workers in that factory. It's only by force do you keep that, in this sort of comical communist system of free whatever. Now, how do you go, oh, well, we now want to start making clops. Everybody wants clops now. What's a clop? I have no idea. But clops. Something new. Clops. Oh, but it takes this entirely new factory. Well, where are we going to get the resources? No, I'm not talking money here. The resources to build the new factory. Bricks or wood or steel to build the building. The clop making machine. Where are we going to go get a clop making machine? Well, they got to be these really huge things. Well, where are we going to get this really huge, how do you organize up making a clop factory that's never been made before? Because when communism happened, there were no electronic computers. You're all watching this on an electronic computer, basically, whether it's your little cell phone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop, or something else. It's basically a computer. They didn't exist, in 1945. So you have to build the first computer factory. And how do you do that in a communist system? Explain to me. I want a single communist somewhere explain to me without authoritarianism, because government is supposed to, in true communism, that they say has never really been tried. In true communism, they always say the state will waste away. It'll just be a worker's paradise. Well, without state control, without state forcibly taking something from other groups of people, how do you build a new computer factory for the very first time? You don't maybe even have a television factory. How do you build these things without authoritarian iron fist rule in a communal type system? See, a commune, a defined commune of 20 people, of 2,000 people can work, because whether it's like a monastery of a religious monastery of brothers making a wine, having a winery kind of thing, and they all work in that. But that works within a greater capitalist system. And so all these people, they can all be, religious brothers, so they all get they all wear the same clothes, they all get to sleep in the same type of bed, they don't get any more property than anybody else. And any extra money that the winery makes, they give to the poor, maybe, or whatever it may be. And they decide communally on what goes to. That can work, partially because they can see all 2,000 members, and they've all determined that those 2,000 members, and they determine who comes or goes, added or subtracted from this brotherhood of religious guys or women or whatever, it doesn't matter. Or they could just be, a commune of war gamers or whatever it may be. That's a definable group within a capitalist world, can work. But how do you make a new clock factory or a new computer factory when you've never had one? It's something that's never been done, let alone come up with the idea, do the invention. How in a non-authoritarian system, hey, all you factory workers and all of you bakers and all you stuff, I'm deciding I'm going to go be an inventor. You're going to have to supply me with materials, and the bakers are going to have to supply me with food. Well, why? Because I'm an inventor. I said so. In this non-state controlled communism, how does that work? That somebody just decides, and he just goes in his workshop and he's tinkering with some little electronic things. Is he doing anything useful? Now, maybe he's going to make the new clock machine or the new computer or the new whatever and revolutionize society. But how do you know he isn't just, he may be working really hard, but trying to do something that doesn't work. It's just, he's trying to, turn lead into gold or whatever. It's just never going to work, no matter what he does. And so, or he could just be goofing off. It doesn't matter. How do you determine in this non-state world that the communists want to have, who's going to be the inventor? Oh, well, they went to the school. Well, who's going to organize the school up? Who's going to say, it's just evil because it doesn't work. And the reason it's evil is because they need authoritarianism to make it work. That is why it is evil. The idea of communism is evil. Okay. PayPal said, okay, not even have money on the account, but still, I've gotten my 2 vaccines and I'm perfectly fine, but I understand why people may be confused about it. There's all kinds of reasons to be, I'm still alive. Oh yeah, no, I think largely the vaccines are safe. But all vaccines of, throughout history, some people have a negative reaction. Doesn't mean they die from it. But some people have severe negative reactions to vaccines. That's quite true. But I still think, especially with something so new, it should be voluntary. And so this is why communism, and none of you out there is like, and maybe somebody, well, this is just, I'm not recording this, it's in this episode or this live stream here, but explain to me how innovation, development works in a communist system without authoritarianism. And so authoritarianism, and see, this is where Marx doesn't see how radical the world is changing really within the Industrial Revolution as opposed to pre-industrial societies. But he's seeing the vast inequality with early industrialization. And so you have vast inequality between industrialized countries or post-industrialized countries and pre or non-industrialized countries, poor countries in Africa or somewhere. And so you have this disparity, certainly. But they were seeing it within societies at that time because they were going through a transition. So that is sort of why, people got onto it, and it's like cockroaches trying to kill this ideology that is just evil, because it just can't work without authoritarianism. And if somebody can explain it to me where I'm going to go rational, and how it's going to be better for people, and how it's going to function without that. And then if it will, then you know what? You don't need any laws. You don't need anything. You just go in and proselytize, like proper religions. Religion should properly be done by people going out and telling other people about their religion, not by governments going out and forcing, forcing all the people in this country will be Catholic or we will kill those that are not. You should not do that. I understand conflict between religions, especially if one or both of them are forcing people to be in their religious grouping, yes. But religion should be something that the government does not enforce upon you, and people should be allowed to go through it. And so you should spread your religion by just spreading the ideas of it, and voluntarily people joining that religion or voluntarily leaving the religion if they so choose. So it should be an idea like that. So if you can spread communism, not through government laws, but through just like, hey, you should only do this or don't do that, fine. Your opinion on certain ideologies depend on your circumstances. You can't talk about innovation with a worker that can barely feed his children. It happens to all of us constantly. Well, I don't believe in pure capitalism and that people should be starving. And to have a social safety net is different than the communal means of communal ownership of the means of production. Okay? So you're right. Ignorant people who are starving hear a utopian idea of living. They will latch onto it. Yeah, I get backgrounds. I get that. And there, in my opinion, there's a difference between the old Labour Party in Britain and the sort of conservative or liberal parties, which are two different parties. in that labor was an advocate group originally for a particular group of people, basically the salaried labor worker. The person who goes, whether to a factory or to a store or whatever, but they make an hourly wage or a monthly wage, and they just do the work. And they were an advocate for them, and that gives you your perspective. I understand that, but that is still different. Developed by need should work in all societies, but the question may be what to get out of it. If not money, you can always order someone to invest something, but that is not very effective. Well, see, once you order somebody, we're talking about authoritarianism again. And so a means of exchange, a means of, the idea of, the stock market and stocks, and it's not quite what it originally was, but the idea is like, hey, I want to build a clop making machine, whatever a clop is. We don't need to know, but it's something new, and it's going to take $10 million to make a clop machine and get a building and have it all going. Well, you could try to find somebody who has $10 million to make it, or you could get a few thousand people to invest differing amounts of money, and you raise the money that way. And so if it goes under, somebody decides that there's Clop 2 out there and you need a whole different machine or whatever, and the Clops go away and it becomes worthless. Well, if the people invested all of their money into one particular company, that's going to be very bad for those people and very stupid for them to do. But if they just invest of their investment money, which may be just a few bucks, and in a modern day sense, a few $100s or something, or a few $1,000s, but you just invested some of your money into that particular company or in that particular industry, and it goes under, you go, I've lost some money, it's a bad day, but my other 4 or 5 investments or whatever, they're just fine. So it was a distribution of risk, but also allowing a voluntary collection of resources to then be invested into making your Clop machine. It's spelled CLOP, if you want to know Clop. So it was... so that was sort of the idea of, and it was to be able to be traded. So if you needed your money out before whatever, you could sell it on the trading market. So that was the idea of a stock market, was to be able to collect resources, money, to then buy resources from a wider distributed audience, and to distribute the risk of a particular investment. So if it goes under, it fails, it doesn't wipe anybody out. And it's the fool who puts, even if they think this is going to be the great, put all your money in Bitcoin. No, don't. Maybe put some money in Bitcoin, but don't put all your money anywhere. Don't even put all your money into digital coins at all. Put some of your money there, but some of your money in other investments. Don't ever do everything. So if one thing goes collapses or just doesn't do so well, it doesn't wreck your investment. And most people over time, if they're even moderately responsible, will have some money to invest. And I'm talking, Western world. We can talk about other parts of the world, but in the Western world, they will. And so that's just one element of capitalism or of free markets. Now, they shouldn't go to the other extreme of allowing, monopolies, any one company. I own all the Clop machines in the world, and if you want Clop, you have to come and get it from me. That's also not a free market. But you also need to have some level of, hey, some people need help, and so you have some social support. I disagree with you heavily, but I understand where you're coming from. Well, very good. Oh, and Butter, I'm not asking everybody. This is not everybody needs to agree with Gamer to hang out and be with us. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just glad that you're interested to listen to what I have to say, and I'm happy for disagreement, as long as it's done in a friendly and a respectable way. But yes, communism is evil. Same here. I think he is wrong, but I understand where he's coming from. Like Lego, which is closed by my place, no one could foresee the usefulness of plastic building blocks. The need was created by this idea. Yes, Gamer is talking as a citizen of modern California without any necessities on a heavily capitalist nation. If you get to understand this, then it all makes sense. Yes, there's absolutely the idea, and yes, if we were talking about other societies around the world, other things need to be done. And so I am fine with the idea of a certain level, and it can vary in different conditions, of government support for people. But collective ownership of the means of production is about the worst idea you can have. It's one thing to have government controls on things, especially in areas that you want to try to develop things. Yes, I'm looking at you, Africa, right now. I do have some African friends, and some of them are black Africans, and some of them are white Africans. But yeah, you have to deal with some things different there, for sure. And I'm mostly, as you can tell right now, talking about the Western society, because I have studied revolutions and counter-revolution type warfare in the third world, and it's a different situation. And yeah, it's a different situation, and still communism sounds good, but every time it's been tried, it doesn't work. And even with authoritarianism, it doesn't work. Okay, guys, I think we're going to end the stream here. I've had a good day with you. I really do appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow playing War Thunder. I presume, I hope, Arno will be playing with me, as well as any of you other guys who want to get on and drive tanks mostly, but be seeing you there. And this Thursday, I'll be streaming in the morning for Slytherin, the new DLC for Order of Battle at sort of, I think, 8:30 a.m. my time, whatever. I think it's 4:30 European time, PM. So it'll be right after tea time. And it would be boring if we all agreed upon everything. And so, yeah. So, see you guys. And of course, we'll be back next weekend playing more Hearts of Iron. Probably still more Hearts of Iron 3, but we'll see next weekend. So thanks, everybody.